On July 7th of 2020, I was texting back and forth. I had been texting every so often, a couple days, someone that I watch on video on YouTube named Zach Wilkinson, and I'll put a link to his channel down in the description box. I encourage you to subscribe to him because I truly believe he hears from the Lord and God directs him. And so we were texting, and we had been talking about July because August, September, October, November, every one of these months, I believe, is going to have some prophetic things happen in the world, in Israel and the United States and around the rest of the world, and including the sky. So this is one of the texts that he sent it was when I was sleeping. So it was late, probably, or well, I would say early morning on July 8th. So he says, okay, so I will say this, and you can share this too. I am being shown a time frame now of July 23rd through July 25th of something. Okay, he has not told me what yet. I don't think he knows. He's not sure, but if the Lord wants us to know, he will tell us. He will explain it to Zach, because clearly God wants us to see these dates. And so we are to always look to Israel, because, Zach is in the United States. We are looking to the United States to see if something will happen to us here or whatever. So I woke up and saw this message on my text, because I do check my iPhone from time to time in the middle of the night, because I'm a watcher. I'm always wanting to know what's going on. And so I saw this and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I'll read it tomorrow. So I went back to sleep, and I don't know if I had a dream or a really short dream or a really quick vision, but the next thing I saw was a chariot. Now this is not a good representation, but it's close, because these horses are desperate to get going. So what I saw in this, I'll just call it a vision, I saw these brownish horses. They just look like normal horses, color-wise, with, I believe, two chariot guys. They looked like Roman soldiers. I remember seeing red in the helmet. Okay, so it was not modern day. It was something like out of Ben-Hur. And in my mind, I knew, in fact, I will scroll down a little bit because I wrote this up for you. I knew that this chariot represented a prayer that I was praying for Israel or Jerusalem. And I could almost, just knowing that there was boxes of prayers, and this was in a box ready to go out that I was praying. But the prayer was not to go out just yet. These chariot guys were pulling back on the horses so hard that there was fire coming out from under them. Down here, there was just fire going back and forth underneath the horses, because they wanted to go so badly, but they were being held back. And I knew, like I said, this represented my prayer. So that's what I had. So as I put it together, I started to look at some interpretations for this. And in 2 Kings 2:12, this is the story of Elisha and Elijah. He sees Elijah going up in the sky like Enoch, the two that were actually raptured. And Elisha saw it, and he cried out, my father, the chariot of Israel and its horsemen. So in this vision that I had, I was thinking Israel or Jerusalem. It had to do, it was in relation to this chariot. So that's why this verse, I believe, is a good verse for this. So as I decided to look even more into it this morning, I have this book called The Prophet's Dictionary. Not because I'm a prophet, okay, because I'm not, but because it's a very good dream dictionary, and especially in these instances for something that's possibly symbolic. So I didn't type all this out for you, but I looked up the word chariot because that's what stood out to me. And it says, a symbol of mastery and rulership, an emblem of military ability and prowess, a sign of spiritual authority. As a prophetic sign, it symbolized a military leader's triumphal journey. Okay, so we're seeing possibly a triumphant journey. And I explained this to Zach because it was his dates that pointed me to this. And he said, well, what about the horseman and the horse? And I thought, well, you know what? I hadn't even thought of that. I just got stuck on chariot. So I stayed with this book and I looked up horse. And a horse can symbolize power, war, and swiftness. And this book goes on to explain different colors, but it doesn't explain brown. It's talking about the horses in the other horses of color in the Bible. But my horses were brown, and that to me that means, okay, the importance here is not necessarily on the horse, but on the fact that the horses were pulling a chariot and that they had fire under their feet. So the color brown to me did not signify anything in particular. As for the horsemen, it says, this book says, spiritually, horsemen signified messengers of judgment, supernatural patrol, and battle. And all of these references in this book point to Bible verses. And this one in particular says, see Isaiah 22, 6 through 9, and then review Zechariah 1 through 3 for references. Okay, so, and it goes on, and these other words that I looked up also have Bible verses. But I just wanted to put out this public message from Zach about these dates to be watchful. It may pertain to Israel, because that's what I saw in my vision, but it may pertain to the United States or a different part of the world or something else. It may pertain to something angelic. I don't know. But I wanted to let you know because that's what I do. I let you guys know. And so hopefully this blesses you today.